Hey folks, Randy Gold, Trout Magnet Man here with you. Yesterday when I did the unboxing of the new rod, I made a statement. I got to thinking about it and I said I need to back up on that. And that was when I was talking about the new aging rod I had was the best of the best. That's not necessarily true. I got to really looking last night and got to thinking about what I'd said. There's several rod companies in Japan that are selling $600 aging rods. So what I'm going to discuss here today is at what point is the diminishing return? And I don't know the answer to that. I don't have a $600 aging rod. I have a $450 Maberu rod. So I'm going to go through the aging, Maberu, and area trout rods. I'm going to talk about them a little bit. Is what you're going to get for your dollar. We're going to start out with area trout rods, which are great for crappie, bluegill. Now I have a total of four area trout rods. One I don't particularly care for is the Daiwa Premi. It's a great rod, but it's kind of mushy. It's not sensitive at all. The other rod I have, area trout rod, that's considered, I guess, medium between. It's not exactly a low end rod. Low to medium is the Palm de Jura. Of course, the graphite content on this rod is only 84%. It's an extra ultralight, and this rod gives me a lot of fun. And I was looking at the build of this rod. I'm not sure where this rod is made. It's not made in Japan, that's for sure. But the build of this rod is very nice. I mean, it's very nice. This rod is quite a bit more sensitive than the Daiwa Premi, but it costs a little bit more money too. But it's a very pretty rod with the natural wood seat here, real seat, and it's a lot of fun. But it's not. This rod's not designed to fish what I fish 98% of the time is soft plastic jigs. It's just not designed for that. Then we step up a notch to where the mid $200 range, Major Craft Fine Tail Banshee. This rod is a very sensitive rod. It has the Fuji titanium frames with torzite inserts, Fuji reel seat, a TBS reel seat, and you know, you start looking, okay, how much better can it get? Well, Major Craft's known for bang for the buck. I was looking at some area trout rods online last night, running some that's $500. And of course, Daiwa makes some that are approaching that, or if they're not at 500, they're approaching that mark. But you wonder, okay, when you look at the higher end rods, you start talking titanium frames, torzite inserts, all of these rods, even the Japanese, most of the low-end Japanese rods, or I should say the upper end of the low end, it all has Fuji components. So you just wonder, you start looking fit and finish. And of course, this rod is not made in Japan either. This rod is made in Vietnam. But I see nothing absolutely wrong with this rod, although I think this rod was designed wrong, even though I'm not a rod builder. This rod should have had one more guide. But I love this rod. I love fishing with it. It's a great rod to fish with. But as I said, you can get some made in Japan area trout rods at $500, $600. Now we're going to talk about aging rods. Of course, the new rod I got yesterday, this is a Japanese made rod. All of it's made in Japan. The components are all Fuji. The blank is Toray, the nanocarbon. It's going to be, I can tell you, it's going to be a fantastically sensitive rod. You could tell that. The weight of this rod, I weighed it after I did the video. It weighs in at exactly 60 grams. Instead of I said 61, it weighs at 60 grams. It's a superb rod. Now, I have two other aging rods. All with, now of course this aging rod, the one I did yesterday, it has 6 inserts on titanium frames, all by Fuji. I have a Major Craft aging heavy rod, hard rod as they call it. It has Fuji titanium frames with torzite inserts. I was looking the other day on eBay. Someone had one of these rods new out of Japan, $230. And I'm like, ooh, I ought to buy another one because it's just that good a rod. But it's definitely a different rod than this rod here, the Luna Kia 2018. Totally different. But I'm looking at the build of this rod. This was made in the Major Craft Work Studio, which is in Vietnam. It's made with Toray carbon fibers. And even though it's made in Vietnam, it's my understanding that they have a Japanese QC on site because they're not going to be able to sell anything in Japan that's not, quality, even the low-end stuff. It's got to have quality or the Japanese just won't buy it. But you're asking yourself the questions, what do we do with when we get up to a certain level? Where does it stop? Well, I don't know that it does stop. Then I have this rod that I've only fished with maybe twice, a Mega Bass Shoreluck Limited, that I know this rod's not made in Japan. I have a feeling it's made in China, but I don't know that. I just know it's not made in Japan. But when you look at this rod, all Fuji components, torzite guides with the Fuji titanium frames, marbling on the butt of the rod, which is absolutely gorgeous. The wrapping up past the lockdown nut past the reel seat, and then on the butt of the rod, it's wrapped in thread. It's an absolutely beautiful rod, and that's why I have not fished it more. It's just one of those you like to take out and look at. It's but it fishes good. What little bit I fished it. Now this rod is no longer made, and I got this rod on sale. It was originally $450, and I got it for $250, and I'm glad I did. They no longer make them, and if you can find them now, they're running $500, $550. But I'm going to tell you, I got a feeling this 2018 Lunica aging rod is going to be a much superior rod when it comes to fishing than this rod. That's just my opinion, because this rod weighs a half ounce more than the Lunica 2018. And I'm not a rod builder, but we all know rigidness, the lighter, the more sensitive. And I'm all about sensitivity. I'm a finesse fisherman. I got to feel things. That's just the way I fish, and I'm probably not going to change. Then we get on to the Maberu rods. Now, I've had this Ice Cube Rock and Drift for a number of years now. They no longer make it. I paid, I think, $450 for this rod. This rod, the build on this rod is impeccable. I can't find anything wrong with it. I've used this rod a lot. I've caught thousands of fish with this rod. This rod is not made in Japan. I don't know where it's made. I don't have a clue. I'm sure I can write Digitalk and ask them, and they'll tell me where it's made. But at $450, it's a Maberu rod. It's a very, to me, it's a unique rod. Of all the rods I've bought from over there, the whole upper section being solid carbon, not just a solid carbon tip, but the whole upper section is solid carbon. This rod fish is very unique. It's an extremely sensitive rod, but it's a softer rod. Ideal, you've heard me say it time and time again, ideal for crappie, bluegill. I've tangled with bigger fish on this rod. I prefer not to do it. I have actually landed a 30-pound drum on this rod. I had this rod doubled up. It has 99-point-something% graphite content on the blank. How it kept from breaking, I have no clue, but it didn't. I mean, I had this rod doubled. Then, a couple of weeks back, I decided I need another Maberu rod. I ordered another ticked Ice Cube, but it's not the, it's a different rod than the Rock and Drift. This is the Rock and Finesse with Fuji titanium frames with the new Fuji SICK S guides, which are SICK, but they're shallow. They're making them a smaller diameter than the older, and they're doing that to save weight. And I noticed several rod companies are doing that. I've mentioned that before. This rod, great for crappie, great for bluegill. This rod is not made in Japan. I don't have a clue where it's made, but I've looked this rod. I've looked all these rods over this morning, trying to discern the differences. You know, what is the difference here with the money and the made in Japan, and what am I going to get if I start getting into $600 rods? Which I don't know if I'm going to get $600 rods, but you never know about me. I might. But this rod fishes great. It's extremely sensitive. The action is great for crappie. It's great for bluegill. I absolutely love it. But you ask yourself, okay, when you go up higher, what are you going to get for the money? What's going to be the difference? I can't answer that question because I don't have, other than the $450 Rock and Drift Ice Cube, I don't have any rods that cost that. So I got to looking last night, and I mentioned on the video about Olympic graphite leader rods. They supposedly make rods for evergreen. I don't know that, but the evergreen rods I want are running close to right at $400, which, you know, is that going to be similar to the ticked Rock and Drift I have? I don't know. I have no way of knowing because I don't have one. But I'm looking at the Olympic. I'm looking at the Super Quarto. That rod, the Super Quarto on the Olympic, is $600, close to it. Here's the thing. It's only a 6'1" rod. It only weighs 49 grams. So it has Fuji titanium frame. It has Fuji reel seats. The difference has to be in the blank. It is a made in Japan rod, and the difference would have to be maybe in the workmanship. But I can't tell hardly any difference at all in the Tenru Luna Kia than I can the Mega Bass or the ticked. Although when you look at this Luna Kia, it really, just something about it, you know, it's just, I don't know, it just seems, a little bit better quality, but that's I'm splitting hairs here. That I don't know that. I mean, it's just, you know, it's going to be a great rod. All these are great rods. But I'm looking at this Super Quarto, and almost $600. And you wonder, okay, what makes this rod so special? Then when you look at the materials and technology in the rod, the Quattro graphite cloth, G-Maps pattern, Olympic sensitory system, Toray CA T1100G, and the nano alloy technology. And you wonder, okay, it has to do with the blanks. It's where I think the money is coming in. Is this rod going to be more sensitive than, say, the 2018 Luna Kia? I don't know that. I can tell you right now, these rods are sensitive off the charts. But I want to discuss all this because I left it out there. I said this was the best of the best, and that's not necessarily true. But I have to say, when you start getting up to that $270, $280 mark and above, rods out of Japan, it's going to be hard for you to tell, in my opinion, which one is better. Now, all of these rods serve a very unique purpose. These trout rods, I didn't buy them for trout. I bought them for bluegill and crappie, and they perform that wonderfully. The aging rods, we obviously don't have any horse mackerel in the waters here in Tennessee. I bought them for shellcracker, bluegill, white bass, and they are great for that. The Maberu rods, I bought them, the top of the list fish for those rods is crappie. They are excellent crappie rods. I mean, excellent. So I looked at some Maberu rods. Okay, I got a $450 Maberu rod. Let me try to look at another Maberu rod and see what I could find maybe that was better. Well, is it better? I have no clue. The Olympic Super Finesse. It's over $600, and a 6'10" model, which is what the ticked ice cube Rock and Drift is 6'10", I believe it is. I don't think it's 6. No, it's 6'9". I'm sorry, 6'9". This rod weighed 2 ounces, the ticked rocket grip. The Super Finezza is going to 67 grams, which is a couple of grams over. Well, it's about 7 grams over 2 ounces. And you wonder, okay, what is the difference in the rod? Well, it has Fuji Torzite, Fuji titanium frames, Fuji TVS reel seat. I got TVS reel seat here. Got TVS reel seat on some other rods, and those reel seats are the same. I mean, they're Fuji. They're not any better. The Torzite frames, and the Torzite guides, and the titanium frames are the same. They're not, there's not different levels of that. Those when you say a Fuji TVS reel seat, that's what you're getting. Whether it's put on a Olympic Super Finezza, or whether it's put on a Palm Zijira, whatever it's put on. Same thing with titanium frame Torzite guides. They're the same across the board. Whether it's on the Ticked Ice Cube, the Mega Bass Shoreluck Limited, or the Super Finezza. So, but once again, here's what we get into. This has all the same materials and technology of the last rods I listed, with the Super Quattro, the G-Maps, the OSS, the Toray CA, and the Nano Alloy. And of course, these are made in Japan. The Olympics are made in Japan. I guess the only way I'm going to know is I'm going to have to order one. I'm going to have to get it to see. I don't want to get a rod. I already have one rod that's so nice that I don't want to fish it. I just want to take it out and look at it, and that's the Mega Bass Shoreluck Limited, which what little bit you can find out reviews about this rod and reading it, it's as far as fishing, it's not one of the more highly noted aging rods. I think it's highly noted because of who it was designed by, Yuki Ito, who's the owner and founder of Mega Bass. And I think those that you can still find, I think that's why they command such a high price. It fishes great, but it's I don't think it's going. I think the 2018 Luna Kia is going to outperform it fishing. I don't want to get any more rods that I think are so good that I don't want to use them. But this Super Finezza intrigues me. But of course, at over $600, I'm going to have to save up a little more money, slow down buying other rods to check that rod out. Now, Olympic makes an area trout rod, the Super Bellezza, and it, at 6'7" model, it weighs 65 grams, so it weighs over 2 ounces, just a little bit, slightly over, but it's a $480, $490 rod, made in Japan, Torzite, with a beautiful cork grip and wood reel seat, absolutely gorgeous. It has all the same materials that the other Olympic rods had, so there's no need to go over that. But you just wonder what the difference is going to be when you step up that next level. And I got to assume that I got to assume you can't go any higher. There are some clear blue, which I've never heard of at all. But when I see this rod, and I don't see the price. I saw the price somewhere earlier. It was an expensive rod with the Nano Alloy, the Torzite, the Toray CA. I'm looking here at the makeup of this rod. It's 40-ton graphite, and you wonder, okay, just how sensitive this rod will be. So, and I don't know. Number one, I don't like the looks of the clear blue, so I may not ever get it. But I just wanted to correct what I said last night. That's the best of the best, and that's not necessarily the case. I don't want y'all to think that I thought that rod was the best aging rod that's made. It's not. That's quite obvious. But I wonder just how much better they're going to fish. Now, I have my eye on a rod. Now, this is for a lot of JDM enthusiasts. If it's not made in Japan, they don't want it. I can't say I'm there yet. I'm there on my spinning reels. I have found that the reels that are actually made in Japan are far superior to the reels that are farmed out of Malaysia, farmed out of Indonesia, Vietnam. They're far superior. But of course, with everything, the price goes up. But I am looking at another rod that is, I know because I emailed Digitaka and asked them where this rod was made. And this rod is made in China. It's an Abu Garcia Eradicator Reel Finesse. What intrigues me about this rod is the 6'7" model. It is slow taper special, is what they call it, which I'm very intrigued with that because I'm an avid bluegill fisherman. I want, even with bluegill, I want a very sensitive rod, but I want a rod I can have a lot of fun with. This is the first, this Eradicator Reel Finesse, Abu Garcia. This particular model, I've never seen this in an aging rod before. It's super ultralight. Now, I've never seen a super ultralight rod in an aging rod before. There may be, but this is the first one I've run upon. And I watched them do the flex on this rod, and it's beyond belief. And the unique thing about this rod that I'm looking at, but I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around paying $330 for a rod made in China, even though I suspect a couple of these rods here are made in China. This rod has Torzite guides, titanium frame, all Fuji components. It's made on a 55-ton blank, if you can imagine that. And supposedly what they've done with this rod is, and they are correct when they're saying that the disadvantages of a slow taper rod is heavy, it's dull, and the sensitivity is not good. That's correct. That's why I don't like the Daiwa Primi. It's very slow. But they say they have solved this, and I would have to say if it's made off a 55-ton blank, I would say there has to be a lot of difference there. So I'm looking at getting that rod to see what it's like. But today I just wanted to discuss these rods and where do we get and where do you cut off at for the money to performance ratio. And I don't have an answer to that. I know this is a very bad habit to get into. It's a very expensive habit. But I enjoy it. It keeps me young. That I'm, constantly hunting, searching, and when you get in your older years, that's you need something like that, and this is keeping me busy along with fishing, and I enjoy it. I enjoy doing it a lot. So anyway, just wanted to clear that up. That is not the best of the best. And I'm not even sure that the $600 and $650 mark is the best of the best. There may be some more aging rods out there that are higher than that. I don't know. And only rods I'm dealing with are aging, my Beirut, and area trout rods. I've tried a bass ultralight rod out of Japan. I didn't really care for it. So, as I was saying there, before I got interrupted there, my son was calling. He's been out fishing today. Caught a 12-inch shellcracker today. So I'm going to continue my search. Going to continue to report on these rods. I have also started where most of my line now, I'm getting out of Japan. My jig heads I'm getting out of Japan. It's a bad habit, folks. It's a bad habit. But anyway, just wanted to clear that up about the rods, discuss them a little bit. I'm going to post some on Tackle Tour and ask some questions. Some people, I know there's some people around that's probably got some of these $600 rods, and just ask them what is the difference? How good are they? Are they that good? So anyway, sore lip them all, and life is good.